The silence was what I loved most about moving here. After years of city noise, I finally had the peace I needed to focus on my writing. Just me, my dog Max, and the wide open field surrounding the house. The previous owner had left in a hurry, no explanation, no forwarding address. Just an empty house waiting to be lived in again. Max adjusted well. He loved the space, spent his days running through the fields, chasing birds and napping in the sunlight. But at night, something changed. On the third night, I was finishing up a chapter on my laptop when I noticed Max sitting near the living room wall, completely still. His ears were perked, eyes locked on something I couldn't see. His tail didn't wag. "Max," I called. He didn't move. I got up and walked toward him. The moment my hand touched his back, he let out a deep, low growl. Not at me, but at the wall. I frowned. "What is it, bud?" Max didn't react. He was staring at something invisible. Then, from the other side of the wall, I heard it. A whisper. Oh, raspy. My name. Ethan. I jerked back, my heart slamming against my ribs. The whisper had been clear. Too clear. I forced a nervous chuckle. "Just the wind," I muttered, trying to convince myself. But Max's stiffened posture said otherwise. His eyes didn't move from the wall. His lips curled slightly, showing teeth. I pressed my hand against the wood. Cold. Too cold. With a deep breath, I knocked lightly. Nothing. I exhaled and stepped away. "Come on, Max. Let's go to bed." But Max refused to move. He stayed near the wall, tail stiff, ears alert. I had to physically pull him away. The next morning, I decided to check the basement. Maybe bad insulation, a draft? Something logical. As I descended the stairs, the air grew stale. Heavy. The scent of rotting wood and damp earth filled my nostrils. I reached the far wall and stopped. Deep scratches covered the wooden planks. Not claw marks. Too long. Too deliberate. As if something inside the wall had been trying to get out. A sick feeling crawled into my stomach. Max whined from the top of the stairs. He wouldn't come down. He knew. That night the scratching started. At first I thought I imagined it, a faint rhythmic sound coming from inside the living room wall. I sat up in bed, straining my ears. Then it grew louder. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Max shot up from the floor, his ears perked. He let out a low, guttural growl that sent chills down my spine. I grabbed my phone and tiptoed toward the living room. The sound was definitely coming from the wall. I hesitated, then placed my palm flat against the wood. Cold. Again. Then a whisper. "Ethan, let me out." I stumbled back, my breath catching in my throat. It was my voice. No, that was impossible. My mind was playing tricks on me. I fumbled with my phone and hit record. "If there's someone here, say something." The scratching stopped instantly. Silence. I played back the recording. Only static. No scratching. No whisper. A heavy dread settled over me. I wasn't just hearing things. Something was inside the wall. And it knew my name. By morning I was convinced I needed a break. Maybe I was just sleep deprived, maybe I was losing my mind. Max, on the other hand, wasn't letting it go. He wouldn't go near the living room wall anymore. Every time I walked past it, his body tensed, his tail stiffened. That evening, I stepped outside to grab firewood. The air was crisp, the field stretching out into the fading twilight. Max trotted beside me, his presence comforting. As I reached the woodpile, something caught my eye. Movement inside the house. I turned, my breath catching in my throat. Max was inside, standing in the living room window, staring at me. But Max was also outside, right next to me. My body went rigid. I glanced down at the real Max, his ears flattened, a deep growl rumbling from his throat. Slowly I looked back up at the window. The Max inside the house tilted its head. Too far. Its neck bending unnaturally. And then, it smiled. Not like a dog. Like a person. I dropped the firewood and ran. I slammed the door shut behind me, chest heaving, my heart slamming against my ribs. Max, the real Max, stood beside me, his fur bristling. His growl was low, steady, more primal than I had ever heard before. His eyes locked onto the wall. The scratching started again. Louder. Desperate. I took a shaky breath, my body screaming at me to run. But where? The thing, whatever it was already inside. Max let out a sharp bark and lunged, his paws clawing at the wall like he wanted to tear through it. The wood creaked. The scratching intensified. Then I heard it. My own voice. "Ethan, let me out." It was coming from inside the wall. I stumbled back, my hands shaking. My instincts screamed at me to get the hell out, but Max wouldn't stop. That's when I saw them, long, deep cracks forming along the wall. Something was pushing from the other side. I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed the axe from the garage and swung it with everything I had. The wood splintered open. A hole. Black, empty, stretching into nothing. And then, the whisper came from right behind me. "You shouldn't have done that." A chill ran through me. The whisper, it wasn't coming from inside the wall anymore. It was behind me. I turned slowly, every muscle in my body locking up. Something crawled out of the hole. It was human-shaped but wrong. Its limbs were too long, its fingers dragging against the floor. Its skin was grayish, stretched too tight over its bones. And its face, my stomach turned. It was my face, but not quite. The eyes were too wide, the mouth stretched too far, as if it was still learning how to wear my skin. Max lunged at it, barking like a demon, but the thing didn't react. It just stared at me. I grabbed Max and ran. I didn't stop until I was outside, shoving myself into my truck, jamming the key into the ignition. The house was silent. No movement. No sound. I took a deep breath, trying to convince myself it was over. Then, movement in the rearview mirror. The thing was outside now, standing in the middle of the road. In its hand was Max's collar, and it was smiling. The apartment was quiet, too quiet. I sat on the couch, scrolling mindlessly on my phone while Luna, the black cat I had adopted a few days ago, sat on the floor. Not moving, not blinking, just staring at nothing. I followed her gaze, expecting to see a bug, a shadow, something. But the corner was empty. Just a plain white wall, untouched. "Luna?" I called, hoping to break her trance. She didn't react. A weird chill ran down my spine. I shook it off and leaned down to pet her, but the moment my fingers brushed against her fur, she let out a low, guttural growl. I pulled my hand back. I had never heard a cat growl like that before. It sounded wrong. I laughed nervously. "Creepy little thing, aren't you?" Luna's ears flicked, but she didn't stop staring at the corner. I sighed and went to bed. That night, I woke up to the sound of scratching. Luna was sitting by my bedroom door, her back arched, tail fluffed. She was staring again. But this time, I felt something staring back. Morning light filtered through the blinds, but the uneasy feeling from last night still clung to my skin. I pushed off the blankets and swung my legs over the bed, then I saw it. Deep scratches on the bedroom door. Long, jagged lines etched into the wood like something had clawed at it all night. I stared, my heart skipping a beat. Slowly, I turned to Luna, who sat by the window, her golden eyes fixed on me. "Was this you?" She blinked. I glanced at her paws. Her claws were retracted. I swallowed hard. Maybe I hadn't noticed the scratches before? Maybe the previous tenant had a dog? I needed coffee. As I walked to the kitchen, Luna followed closely behind, never looking away from me. Her tail flicked as if she was waiting for me to realize something. That's when I noticed she wasn't staring at me anymore. She was staring at the corner of the room again. Her pupils dilated, fur bristling. The air in the apartment felt thicker. Like I wasn't alone. Then, from that empty corner, the floor creaked. I froze. The creak had been soft, almost hesitant, like a footstep on old wood. But the corner was empty. Luna's tail puffed up. Her ears twitched toward the sound, and she let out a slow, low growl. I swallowed hard. "Just the building settling," I muttered, more to myself than her. Then a whisper, faint, from inside the wall. "Jake." My stomach dropped. I took a shaky step back. "Hello." The apartment stayed silent. Luna's growl deepened. She inched closer to my leg, body low, as if she was protecting me. I pressed my ear against the wall. The air felt wrong. Then, right against my ear, the whisper came again. "Let me in." I stumbled back, knocking over a chair. My breath came in sharp gasps. Luna hissed, staring at me now as if she knew I had heard it. The whisper was gone, but the air in the apartment felt colder. And I knew, somehow, whatever it was getting closer. That night I couldn't sleep. Every shadow in the apartment felt too dark. Every creak in the floor sounded too deliberate. Luna sat at the foot of my bed, completely still. She wasn't curled up like she usually was. Instead, she faced the bedroom door, ears twitching like she was listening. Sometime after 2 a.m., I forced myself to get up and splash cold water on my face. As I stepped into the bathroom, Luna suddenly bolted inside, hissing. She pressed against my leg, her body tense. My stomach twisted. "What's wrong, girl?" Then I looked at the mirror, and my reflection didn't move. A wave of ice-cold fear crashed over me. I raised my hand slowly, and my reflection raised its hand just a second too late. I staggered back. My breath hitched in my throat. The reflection smiled. I didn't. Luna yowled, her fur standing on end. I turned and ran out of the bathroom, flipping the light off as I left. For a split second, before the darkness swallowed the room, I saw my reflection still standing there, watching me. I locked myself in my bedroom, my pulse hammering. Luna paced the floor, tail flicking aggressively. She wouldn't go near the bathroom door. Neither would I. I kept telling myself it was just my imagination. Maybe I was exhausted. Maybe the stress of moving into this place was messing with my head. Then, a scratching at the front door. Luna stopped pacing. Her head snapped toward the sound. Scratch, scratch, scratch. I swallowed hard and crept toward the door, pressing my eye against the peephole. It was Luna. Outside. My breath caught in my throat. I looked back. Luna was still in the bedroom with me. Tail stiff, fur bristling. I turned back to the peephole. The Luna outside was staring directly at me. Then her mouth slowly opened, too wide, stretching past what a cat's jaw should allow. She smiled. A sound, low, guttural, inhuman, slithered through the crack of the door. I stumbled back, my whole body numb. Inside the room, Luna let out a deep, guttural hiss, the sound of a cat warning of something much worse than a predator. And then, from behind the door, a whisper. My own voice. "Let me in." The whisper sent ice through my veins. I grabbed Luna and stumbled backward, my breath ragged. My shaking fingers fumbled to lock the door. Click. The scratching stopped. But the silence was worse. Luna dug her claws into my arm, her body rigid. Her golden eyes locked onto something behind me. I didn't want to turn around. Slowly, I pulled out my phone and flipped the front camera toward me. The screen glitched. A shadowy shape loomed behind me, tall, hunched, too thin. And its face. My face. But the smile was too wide. The eyes were too dark. And it was reaching for me. The lights flickered and died. A rush of cold air swept through the apartment. The door behind me rattled violently. Luna let out a blood-curdling yowl. Then silence. The lights blinked back on. The door was wide open. The hallway was empty. But Luna was gone. The only thing left behind was her collar, sitting perfectly in the center of the room. And from the bathroom mirror, my reflection watched. Still smiling. The house was too quiet. Mark sat on his couch, half watching the late-night news, trying to convince himself that moving out here was a good idea. Fresh start. Cheap rent. No distractions. Then he heard it. A faint, high-pitched crying. He froze, lowering the TV volume. It was soft, almost distant, but unmistakable. A cat. His eyebrows furrowed. He didn't own a cat. Mark stood up, following the sound. It was coming from the basement. A chill crawled up his spine. Had a stray somehow gotten inside? He never left the doors open. The crying grew weaker, more desperate. He grabbed a flashlight and hesitated at the basement door. The air felt colder here. He swallowed, reached for the knob. The second his fingers brushed the metal, the crying stopped. The silence that followed was too thick, too complete. Mark held his breath, pressing his ear against the door. Nothing. Just as he exhaled, a soft scrape. From the other side, Mark stepped back, locked the door. He decided he wasn't checking tonight. Mark barely slept. He kept telling himself it was just a stray. Maybe it found a way in through the vents, maybe it was nothing. But something about the way the crying stopped so suddenly, asterisk asterisk like it knew he was there, asterisk asterisk didn't sit right. By morning he almost convinced himself he imagined it. Then he walked past the basement door. Deep, jagged scratches covered the floorboards right outside it. His stomach twisted. Long, desperate claw marks. Not a cat's. Too big. Too deep. Luna, the name popped into his head from nowhere. Where did that come from? He shook off the uneasy feeling and left for work, hoping daylight would chase away the weirdness. But that night the crying came back. It started as a soft whimper. Then it grew louder. Closer. Mark sat frozen in bed, listening. Then the crying changed. It was still a cat. But underneath it, beneath the whimpering, there was something else. A low, raspy breathing. Right outside his bedroom door. Mark's breath caught in his throat. He lay still, staring at his darkened ceiling, ears straining. The crying had stopped. But the breathing, it hadn't. Slow. Right outside his bedroom door. He swallowed hard, forcing himself to sit up. The floor was cold beneath his feet. He glanced toward the door, his pulse hammering. The house was dead silent. Maybe it was his mind playing tricks on him. He had been stressed. Overthinking. Mark exhaled shakily, pushing himself off the bed. He needed water. He stepped out into the hallway and stopped cold. The basement door was wide open. His stomach lurched. No, he locked it. He was sure of it. His pulse pounded in his ears. The basement was pitch black. He took a step forward, his foot hovering over the top stair. Then from the darkness below, a scramble of movement. Fast. Wrong. The basement wasn't empty. Something was down there. And it had just realized he was standing at the top of the stairs. Mark didn't move. His breath came in short, shallow gasps as he stood at the top of the basement stairs, staring into the blackness below. The air felt wrong. Heavy. Like something was waiting. Then, a soft thump. Something had stepped onto the bottom stair. A faint shape shifted in the darkness. Small. Low to the ground. Mark squinted. A cat? A small, black cat sat at the bottom of the stairs, staring up at him. His stomach unclenched slightly. It was just a stray. That was it. Just some poor lost cat that had wandered in. He exhaled, forcing a laugh. You scared the hell out of me, buddy. The cat didn't react. Just watched him. Mark took a careful step forward. How did you even get in here? The cat's ears twitched. Its tail flicked. Then it opened its mouth. No sound came out. Not even a meow. Just an empty, gaping black void where its mouth should have been. Mark's body went cold. Then, the thing smiled. Mark stumbled backward, his chest tightening. The cat, asterisk asterisk or whatever it was, asterisk asterisk didn't move. It just sat there at the bottom of the stairs, its mouth stretched too wide, smiling. His body screamed at him to run, to slam the door shut, to leave this place and never look back. But his legs felt like concrete. Then, a sound from the basement. Not a meow. A scratching. Slow. Deliberate. Coming from inside the walls. Mark swallowed hard, gripping the railing to steady himself. His eyes darted past the cat to the far end of the basement. The sound was louder now. He moved on instinct, grabbed the hammer he had left near the stairs. His mind screamed at him to stop. But his hands didn't listen. He lifted the hammer and swung. The old wooden panel splintered open. Behind it, a hollow space. Mark shined his flashlight inside. Long, deep claw marks covered the inside of the wall. And lower down, teeth marks. Human teeth marks. Then a whisper. Right behind him. You shouldn't have opened it. A chill ripped down Mark's spine. The whisper was right behind him. He spun around, the basement light flickered. The black cat was gone. But something else stood in its place. At first, Mark couldn't tell what he was looking at. A shape, tall and thin, half hidden in the shadows. His limbs were too long. Its head tilted at an unnatural angle. Then it moved. A slow, dragging step forward. Bones cracked. Mark's breath hitched. It had a face. A cat's face, but stretched. Distorted. Its mouth too wide. its eyes black voids. And then, in a voice that almost sounded human, it whispered, "Help me. I'm lost." Mark bolted up the stairs. His feet barely touched the steps as he lunged through the doorway, slamming the basement door shut. His chest heaved. The house was silent again. He grabbed his car keys. He was leaving. But as he turned to grab his bag, the basement door creaked open. Inside, at the bottom of the stairs, sat a small black cat. It smiled.